for November the 13th, 2023. Just a reminder to those who are in the gallery today, we do have budget hearings immediately following council meeting, and you all are welcome to stay. Today we have 21 first readings, we have 16 motions, we have one first read passage, 2023-333, with Mr. Phil Montgomery to address council.
Thank you, Madam President. Phil Montgomery from the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget. We have this cycle's exhibit for appropriations. The first one is an appropriation adjustment between salary and benefits. The next is an appropriation for the 2023 Agency on Aging grant for the Department of Development. We have another adjustment for public safety. And then flipping over to the next page, we have a new grant award for public safety as well as for the juvenile court, and then two new grant appropriations for the general division. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, members of the council? Hearing none. Are you good with that, Mr. Donofrio? Yes. Thank you. Again, we have 21 first reads, 16 motions for this evening, one first read passage request. We have no late filings. Routine legislation found on page 9. We have 2 second reads. We will now rise for the pledge, led by Mr. Wilhite, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam President, in our moment of silence, could we keep in our thoughts and prayers the friends and family of the late County Executive Jim McCarthy?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt.
Here.
Ms. Hyam.
Here.
Mr. Donofrio. Here. Mr. DeVitas.
Here.
Ms. Dickinson.
Here.
Ms. Sims.
Here.
Mr. Woolhite.
Here.
Ms. Darrow.
Here.
Ms. Rogers.
Here.
Ms. McKinney.
Here.
Ms. Walters.
Here. Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 30th, 2023?
So moved.
I have a motion from Ms. Walters. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Motions for council M50-2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointments of County Engineer Alan Brubaker, Councilmember Rita Darrow, Ms. Diane Miller-Dawson, Mayor Mike Rick, Township Trustee Paul Schweikert, and Mayor Mike Zita to the Community Development Block Grant Committee.
So moved.
Ms. Walters moves on M050-2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M051-2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointment of Ms. Gina K. Maddox to the Children's Services Board.
Can I get a motion, please? Mr. Wilhite has moved on motion 051-2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M052-2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointments of Ms. Lori Pesci with alternate Deborah Matz and Ms. Phelan Thurn with alternate Greta Johnson to the Emergency Management Executive Committee.
Ms. Rogers moves on M052-2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M053-2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointment of Ms. Tracy Dow and Ms. Shanna Earl to the Development Finance Authority Board.
So moved.
Ms. Walters moved on M053-2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M054-2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointments of Ms. Diane Miller-Dawson, Mr. David Lucas, Mr. Phil Montgomery, and Ms. Lori Salaz to the Community Improvement Corporation Board.
So moved.
I have a motion from Ms. Hyam on M054-2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M055-2023, a motion of council confirming the appointment of Ms. Tazina Long, replacing Ms. India Surgeon, to the Community Development Block Grant Committee.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Walters on M055 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M 056, 2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointment of Mr. Brian Gorog to the Akron Metropolitan Area Transportation Study, AMATS Technical Advisory Committee.
Motion by Mr. Wilhite on M056, 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M 057, 2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointments of Executive Eileen Shapiro with Dennis Tubbs as alternate, Ms. Diane Miller-Dawson, and Mr. David Lucas to the Akron Metropolitan Area Transportation Study, AMATS Policy Committee.
Ms. Darrow moves on M057, 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M 058, 2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointment of Mr. Joe Perry to the Law Library Resources Board.
So moved.
Ms. Walter moves on M058, 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M 059, 2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointments of Councilwoman Erin Dickinson, Mr. Jeffrey Snell, and Mr. Robert Terry to the Planning Commission.
Ms. Darrow moves on M059, 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M 060, 2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointments of Executive Eileen Shapiro with Phil Montgomery and Rose DeBoard as alternates, Council President Veronica Sims with Mark Potter as alternate, Ms. Diane Miller-Dawson with David Lucas as alternate, and Fiscal Officer Kristen Scalise with Stacy Vavruska and Jay Curry as alternates to the Tax Incentives Review Council.
Ms. Rogers moves on M060, 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M 061, 2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointments of Mr. Jack DeLeo, Mr. Jeff Lynch, and Mr. Renato Camacho to the Akron Summit Convention and Visitors Bureau Board of Trustees.
Ms. Darrow moves on M061, 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M 062, 2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointments of Executive Eileen Shapiro with Craig Stanley and Joe Eckenrode as alternates, County Engineer Alan Brubaker with Larry Fulton and Charles Hauber, replacing Joe Paradise as alternates, Mr. Jim Below, Mr. David Lucas, Mr. Dave Kohlmeyer, Ms. Diane Samego, Mr. Mike Finet with Matt Kelsey as alternate, and Mayor Sam Scafidi to the NEFCO Board.
So moved.
Ms. Hyam moves on M062, 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M 063, 2023, a motion of council confirming the reappointments of Mayor Sam Scafidi and Mr. Ross Nicholson with Craig Stanley as alternate to the NEFCO Intergovernmental Review Committee.
Ms. Darrow moves on M063, 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M 064, 2023, a motion of council confirming the appointment of Mr. Randy Briggs replacing Megan Wilkinson to the County of Summit Developmental Disabilities Board.
So moved.
Mr. Schmidt moves on M064, 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
M 065, 2023, a motion of council establishing the council and committee meetings for January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
So moved.
Mr. Wilhite moves on M065, 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
First readings, 2023-333, a resolution appropriating funds in order to meet projected expenditures for the balance of 2023 is set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget Emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-333.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-333. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
2023-334 has been withdrawn. 2023-335, a resolution approving the promotion and salary adjustment for classified bargaining employee Josh Huff for the Office of Information and Technology Emergency. 2023-336, a resolution pursuant to Section 169.04H of the Codified Ordinances of the County of Summit as set forth in Exhibit A, approving and adopting the report on staffing for calendar year 2024 for the executive emergency. 2023-337, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a renewal, first of three, of a professional service contract with K.E. McCartney and Associates for design services related to the Surface Water Management District for a one-year term for the period of 1/1/24 to 12/31/24 in an amount not to exceed $100,000 for the engineer emergency. 2023-338, a resolution authorizing the executive to enter into agreements for the acquisition of a warranty deed and 2 standard highway easements for Summit County parcels 0406653, 0406985, and 0406657 located in Bath Township in Council District 4, in a total amount not to exceed $3,785 as part of the Ira Road Bridge Replacement Project for the engineer emergency. 2023-339, an ordinance amending numerous sections of Part 11 of the codified ordinances of the County of Summit, Ohio, entitled Subdivision Regulations for the Planning Commission and the Executive's Department of Community and Economic Development, emergency. 2023-340, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a purchase contract with Federal Express Corporation as a best practical source for service of process of documents for the clerk of juvenile court for a total estimated amount not to exceed $165,000 for a one-year term for the period of 1/1/24 through 12/31/24 for the Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Division emergency. 2023-341, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Children's Hospital Medical Center of Akron, Division of Adolescent Medicine for physician and medical services in the Juvenile Detention Center for a total amount not to exceed $326,259 for a one-year term from 1/1/24 through 12/31/24 for the Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Division emergency. 2023-342, a resolution authorizing the prosecutor's office to make an expenditure in an amount not to exceed $17,657.84 for their annual Responding to the Needs of Victims Conference for the prosecutor emergency. 2023-343, a resolution authorizing the executive, subject to the approval of the Board of Control, to execute a professional service contract between the Legal Defender's Office of Summit County, Ohio, Inc., and the Summit County Public Defender Commission for legal defender services for indigent persons on behalf of the Summit County Public Defender Commission for a one-year term for the period 1/1/24 through 12/31/24 in an amount not to exceed $4,039,430 for the executive and the Summit County Public Defender Commission emergency. 2023-344, resolution authorizing the executive or designee to execute or initiate for a two-year period from 1/1/24 through 12/31/25 through the states of Ohio's County Financial Information System and any other documents necessary, the acceptance by the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services of inter-county transfers of surplus funds from other Ohio counties, and to release surplus County of Summit funds to other Ohio counties in exchange for those accepted funds, provided that the collective funds released in a given calendar year do not exceed the collective funds accepted in that calendar year for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services emergency. 2023-345, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute an intergovernmental temporary assistance to needy families agreement with the Summit County Combined General Health District, DBA Summit County Public Health, to provide community baby shower services from 1/1/24 through 9/30/24 in an amount not to exceed $60,000 for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services emergency. 2023-346, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of change order number 1 to a temporary assistance to needy families TANF agreement with the Akron-Canton Regional Food Bank for food purchase and distribution services from 10/1/23 through 9/30/24 in an amount not to exceed $110,000 for a cumulative increase of 31.43% for a total amount not to exceed $460,000 for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services emergency. 2023-347, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Adult Guardianship Services of Summit County for the operation of the Volunteer Guardian Program for a one-year term from 1/1/24 through 12/31/24 in an amount not to exceed $100,000 for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services emergency. 2023-348, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of an amendment to the project management agreement with Sikich Human Capital Management and Payroll Consulting as a best practical source for project management services in the installation of the Tyler Munis ERP product for 38 months for the period of 11/1/21 to 12/31/24, amending the prior amount to a total amount not to exceed $1,328,600 for the Office of Information Technology emergency. 2023-349, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Lake Tech Communications, Inc. as a best practical source for Palo Alto firewall support for the period 1/10/24 to 1/10/25 in an amount not to exceed $81,024.84 for the Office of Information Technology Emergency. 2023-350, an ordinance amending Chapter 177 of the Codified Ordinances of the County of Summit entitled Board of Control Contract Procedures to make certain updates and revisions to the purchasing process of the county, increasing thresholds as allowed by the passage of Ohio House Bill 33 for the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget Emergency. 2023-351, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Huntington National Bank for procurement card services for a volume rebate percentage between 1.1% and 1.8% based on net annual charge volume for the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget Emergency. 2023-352, a resolution approving and adopting the 2024 operating budget for the Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Services Board of the County of Summit and appropriating funds totaling $54,117,124 as set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget Emergency. 2023-353, a resolution approving and adopting the 2024 operating budget for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services and appropriating funds totaling $54,218,300 as set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget Emergency. 2023-354, a resolution approving and adopting the 2024 operating budget for all funds, departments, and agencies of the County of Summit and appropriating funds totaling $565,733,269 as set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget Emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt routine legislation found on page 9.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt routine legislation found on page 9. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Second readings, 2023-329, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute a grant agreement with the Summit County Land Reutilization Corporation Land Bank for a grant in the amount of $103,500 to enable the land bank to retain Hasenstab Architects for design work of a 54,000 square foot build-out of 1040 East Talmadge Avenue located in the city of Akron and Council District 2 for the Executive's Department of Administrative Services, Physical Plants, Emergency.
I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-329.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-329. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
2023-331, an amended resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of professional service contracts with various providers for state fiscal year 2024, utilizing temporary assistance to needy families, benefit bridge, and state general revenue funds from 10/1/23 through 9/30/24 in a total amount not to exceed $5,385,000 for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services Emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-331.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-331. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. There's nothing else to come before this council tonight. We are now adjourned.
And we will open up the budget hearings at 4:50, and first on the agenda is juvenile court. Judge Philadelphia.
Good evening, Bob Bickett from Juvenile Court. You all know Judge Teodosio. Really not a lot of changes in our budget from 2023 to 2024. There's increases for salaries, for general wage increases, and there's some increase in contract services for things like our medical contract, where obviously those costs go up. But other than that, it's basically the same as in 2023. No real surprises or changes.
but we're happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Council, questions? Hearing none.
So just a quick
Always
question.
good.
Oh, you got one over here, I'm sorry. Judge.
So we've recently saw some articles in the paper regarding safety in some of our juvenile courts, in some of our detention centers. How are we mediating that in terms of staff and people who are,
Are you talking about the articles this past weekend?
Yes.
That called into question, I think, primarily the safety in the Department of Youth
Yes.
Services? I can tell you that the safety of our kiddos in our detention center is my #1 priority. We have a very stringent training process for new staff members, which includes shadowing as well as training on handling. I can tell you, in speaking with our training officer, even some of the methods that have been approved in other facilities, we do not use in ours because we don't want to take a chance of someone being harmed. We have something, I think, very unique in our county, which I think that goes a long way in helping our kids stay not only physically safe, but helps with their mental well-being, and that's thanks to a really strong partnership with the ADM board as well as the DD board, in that we have a therapy room for kids. It's staffed by 3 clinicians that are funded by ADM. We have a child psychiatrist that comes in that can prescribe psychotropic medications. Our therapy dog goes down to the detention center and can work with the kids. And DD has provided us with all kinds of sensory items for kids who are obviously under stress in that facility. Having that resource for our kids goes a long way in keeping things calm. And so, I mean, obviously, you've got kids that are there for serious offenses. They're there for a long time. We're going to have fights. But I think that we're doing everything in our power to keep those children safe. As far as children from our community that are housed in DYS facilities, I do meet with those youth every 30 to 60 days. I think I'm the only judge in the state that does that. I do it by Zoom to make sure their needs are being met, that their parents are satisfied with what they're receiving, that there are no concerns. So I feel pretty comfortable we're taking all the steps that we possibly can to keep our youth as safe as possible. Thank you for the question.
thank you. I think the work that you do as a model, really, for folks to really look at across the state. So how are do we have currently a robust diversionary program so our kids don't end up in those systems?
We fund through Reclaim Ohio numerous diversion programs with the various police departments. We give that to them so that they can work with kids in the community as opposed to sending them to the court. Once they're sent to the court, if they are misdemeanants, we attempt to work with them as diversion in our court as well. So we have a very robust diversion program. Unless there's a violent misdemeanor that we feel needs to go official, we try to divert all of those kids if they're willing to work the program. Our staff members in the Family Resource Center do assessments. They try to connect those kids to services in the community that will help them with their issues. It's funded by funds through Job and Family Services. It's been successful for, I think it's been there the whole time we've been there, for 20 years. You know, God rest his soul, County Executive McCarthy was a real partner with us in getting that started, and it's continued through to this day. Yeah, we are very robust diversion. Unless a kiddo comes in on a felony, he's likely to qualify for at least consideration and diversion if he follows through, or she follows through.
Thank you, Jesse Delcio. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, Council, please go to Judge Michael. Ken Mills.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Ken Tillis, Assistant Court Executive Officer with the Common Pleas Court. You all know Judge Michael, our administrative judge this year, and Bob Gaynor is our Court Executive Officer, who I'm sure everyone knows as well. We're very happy to report that our budget was agreed upon with the Executive's Office. Very appreciative of the hard work that Phil Montgomery and Brian Nelson put into working with us on our budget. Our budget does include a small increase in staff on the court side, which was 8 new staff that are called technology bailiffs that are stationed at the jail that facilitate our video conference project. And that is kind of the culmination of the virtual court project that has taken a number of years and enables us to really optimize the number of hearings that we have by video. We transport very few inmates over to the court, only when absolutely necessary. So in order to do that, we added some staff. That actually is a transfer from the sheriff's budget into the court's budget to accommodate that staff addition, so it's not really an increase in cost. Driving a lot of the court's activity is our caseload. Our criminal caseload in 2022 was at an all-time high. Going back, the Supreme Court has a data dashboard. We've not seen these numbers in 10 years of history that are mapped out on the data dashboard. 7,070 incoming criminal cases in 2022. So we don't have full numbers as of 2023 yet, but that is twice the statewide average of cases per judge. So our judges have, in 2022, 707 incoming criminal cases apiece. That's an astounding number. I don't know how they do it. And of course, that work flows down from the judges into the adult probation department, which we're happy to report is nearly fully staffed now, both on the probation officer and also the support staff. So they're keeping up with that increased caseload. We also have an Office of Backlog Reduction, which I've been before council for the contract for our director of the Office of Backlog Reduction, funded by an ARPA grant, that we've moved as much of our civil casework to that office. We have a retired judge. We have a very well-qualified judicial attorney magistrate that operate that office. They just completed our settlement week, week before last, and 90 of 140 cases that went to settlement week were resolved. Historically, we had settlement weeks years ago before we had an in-house mediation department. We never saw numbers of that success. So we're
around 40% success before, so we're very happy with the success rate this year.
and that's been very necessary in keeping up with the caseload, again, with the increase in the criminal caseload. A change that we have made this year based upon feedback from county council members, and something we were alerted to even before county council, was expansion of our jury pool. So the Ohio law allows counties to either use a list of registered voters or combine that with the BMV, driver's licenses, and state IDs. Not too many counties in Ohio are using the expanded list. There are some complexities with doing that. You have to deduplicate and make sure that folks are citizens. But we did expand that as of July, so we're still evaluating how that is affecting our jury pool, and we'll continue to monitor that and give any feedback to council as we go. But I can tell you Hamilton County is looking at Summit as to how we're implementing that, so we are on the forefront. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions regarding the budget or anything else involving the court.
So in terms of expanding the jury pool, I know I was one of the persons that asked about that earlier in the year, or this year, but I wonder how many people, what percentage are from driver's license compared to people that are registered voters, do you know?
I don't know the number off the top of my head. I want to say it was about an 80,000 person increase in the jury pool.
I think that's what the one report said, yes.
Of deduplicated, so of additional people in the pool. One of the challenges we're going to have in using the BMV records, now that you can do an 8-year driver's license, if folks don't update their records, we wouldn't necessarily have either the current folks in Summit County or folks that have left. So it's going to take a while to see how that's going to work. But and I believe it was your constituent, Ms. McKinney, who had reached out to the court and felt that we should be doing that. So increasing the number of folks that are available to serve is good, and maybe giving us a little more diversity of folks that may not register to vote for whatever reason, but still would want to be or should be part of the justice process.
Thank you for working with that, working out the wrinkles.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Question for you guys in terms of hiring. When you have openings come up, are you experiencing a hiring issue where not enough qualified candidates or getting candidates? Is that an issue for you guys as well?
We did in the past because our magistrates were being paid from 10 to 15,000 less than other magistrates across the county, so we were having trouble recruiting because of the salary difference. But with the new budget, we were able to at least come close to what other courts are paying, so we have less of a problem recruiting, at least in that area.
I just want to mention, I had the pleasure of being called for jury duty last week and having to report, but I haven't been called in a couple of years, but I'm not sure when you updated the technology, but I'll tell you the resource of the online, being able to check if you're being called, and the text messaging was very cool. So I appreciated that and multiple ways of letting me know when I was supposed to report. So thank you for that.
Any other questions?
Thank you. I just want to say again, reiterate to the judges for being so open to the change, honored to champion the work. What I've heard from community and also from the judges, we have increased the number of persons of color that we are seeing coming through there. But I think in addition to that, we were also interested in the diversity of thought that comes with when we tap into these other populations that are not necessarily registered to vote, but are part of BMV. So thank you to my colleague Erin Dickerson for her support on that. On a second note, on your increase in your number of cases, if you were looking at a point in time, are you on projection to be the same as last year, or are we seeing lower numbers? What are we seeing? And second part of that, what percentage of those folks are like dual? So there's mental health issues, okay, can we talk about those and maybe some other things we're doing within the court to keep those folks out of the system and getting treatment?
So we do our best to try to keep people out of the system. That's the reason why our probation department is working super hard right now, is because they're handling a lot, the volume is a lot higher. Thank goodness we have a technology component that helps us manage the work. I will tell you that we are very blessed in our community to have a lot of resources when it comes to mental health, when it comes to other drug abuse, alcohol treatment. IBH was, the jewel that other communities copied, and it's a successful venture. I mean, it's been wonderful, and now Raymar and Touchstone, which is female Raymar, they are doing a great job as well. I've had very good success with all of them, so we try our best. But if a person continues to violate their probation, then we have no choice but to send them to prison. We try our best not to, because we know that once they're sent to prison, there's really no rehabilitation that takes place, and we will probably see them again. So if we can help fix the underlying problem, then we know that we won't see that person again. It might bring some of our numbers down.
I think specifically the caseload numbers, the
We're s-
last snapshot I looked at, we were down a little bit, not anything that gives us any breathing room.
But we're seeing a lot of gun violence right now, and a gun culture with young people. And by young people, we don't handle juveniles in our court. They're all 18 and up, but it's the under 30 crowd that is really fascinated with guns and having a bigger, better gun and having, we're just dealing with a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think the communities reflect that too. I mean, they know because they're losing kids. I call them kids. Anyone in their 20s is a kid to me. But anyway.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Next up is Soil and Water Conservation District, Brian. How are you?
Good, how you doing? Good evening, everyone. So yeah, I'm Brian Prunty. I'm the District Program Administrator for Summit Soil and Water Conservation District. This is Bethany Fortune. Finally brought someone along with me this time. She's our payroll and financial specialist at our office. She's passing out 2 documents. One is just kind of showing a little background of who we are in case you want to read up on that and you're not familiar with us. And the other is just our year in review. We're a political subdivision of the state. I have a 5-member board that I report to. There's 12 of us as employees that work for the organization. Our main job duties are related to compliance with the Ohio EPA stormwater permit. We assist the county and the 11 communities that fall under that stormwater permit, along with 18 other communities or cities that have their individual permit. I keep going if you guys want me to. We provide technical assistance with writing watershed action plans to help the Surface Water Management District and the county engineers for stream restoration projects. And in the future, once we get the plans written, we will be writing 319 grants to assist the county engineer's office seek funding for stream restoration projects. Additionally, we investigate pollution abatement complaints through forestry and agricultural land use. By law, we have 3 days through the state of Ohio to respond to that. As for revenue sources, we receive $477,000 through local appropriations. That's the county money and community money. We receive $383,000 from the state through a match of that local appropriation that we receive from our communities and the county. And then we have review fees and other workshop fees, and along with a $30,000 grant from Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District that help funds one of our positions.
Questions, Council?
Brian, how involved are you with the Gorge Dam removal? Are you part of that group working on that project?
We are, yes. We are providing guidance on erosion, sediment control, and stormwater things related to what to do with the dredging materials, and then removing the dam with the stream restoration itself.
And the dredging material, that's going to be staged at a different location from where the gorge is, correct?
I believe so. I am not the individual reviewing the plans and attending those meetings, but yes, I believe it's downstream on Metro Parks property.
It's going to be in the signal tree area. They've set aside land that they'll dump.
Structurally repair it and plant stuff over top of it.
Yeah,
And I understand that's about a 4-year project, right?
Again,
Isn't that what they told us? 4 years?
Probably.
I know that the work is starting this spring, next spring.
yeah.
They think it'll take,
They said 2026, actually.
Great.
Talking with the Ohio EPA representative, he wants to retire when this is done, so he's hoping 2 years.
No other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Next up, Office of Information Technology.
Good evening. Stephen Byrne, Office Information Technology. So I'm going off the budget summary that I have. I believe it got passed out here a little bit. So just quickly on stuff for the past 12 months. Obviously, we've, with the technology projects, we've had an increase in services from across the board from the charter agencies as well. We typically deal with about 18,000 requests and incidents per year. We had about 107 new projects come up this past year. So a lot of involvement, not only with the charter agencies, but with the rest of the agencies surrounding the county. On the budget itself, you'll see we're looking for 2 additional positions. One of those being a cybersecurity analyst. We've taken a lot of security projects on. We currently have our security director right now that's knee-deep in a lot of the day-to-day work. We need to get him out of that day-to-day work necessarily and allow him to get into more strategic settings. So that's one ask. The additional ask is, as we've come through and done a lot of our enterprise systems in the charter agencies, there's been a big need on the application support side of the house. As agencies come in and they revamp their business processes, they lean on our guys a little bit to understand the product itself and what it can do to enhance their business process. So our application support team's been taxed pretty good. So we're looking for some additional help there.
On the contract services side, this is really where a big increase is. You'll see the number there, it's about 900,000. That's because it's a crossover year. This is as we get off of the old systems and onto the new, we are still holding both contracts. So right now, we're holding on to our Munis contract as we still hold on to our Banner contract, which we will not, as we get into the 2025 budget, we'll take off. So at the very bottom of the page, though, you'll see kind of a short list of the items that should fall off of our contracts come 2025.
Questions, council? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thanks.
Last up is the ADM board. Amy Wade.
Good evening. Amy Wade, ADM Board. And I have Jennifer Peevage, our Associate Director of Operations, with us this evening. And I'll start off, I always come with data updates for you all. So one of the things you will have in front of you is our latest update on data from our data dashboard, which is our overdoses and suicide data for the county. So you will see 2 one-pagers in your packet. And I see you guys flipping there. So what you will see is as of this morning, in Summit County for 2023, we have experienced 184 overdose deaths in Summit County, and we currently have 22 pending. For a total, if those are all go forward as we expect, those will be 206 for the year, which will put us on par with last year, and if that will have us exactly where we were in 2022. So that will not have us any lower or any higher than 2022. In terms of suicide deaths, we are at 92 lives lost in 2023. We had one of our lowest years last year, which we ended 2022 at 80 deaths. So as I mentioned, we're at 92 in 2023 and on track to have one of our worst years since 2016, which we lost 101 lives. So we are on track to mimic what we saw in 2016. Hence, the very important work that we're doing. We've been targeting resources and messaging in our communities where we're seeing these increases. And I would like to say a special thank you to President Sims on her current work with our faith communities and a couple of our providers in hosting conversations at our local churches through the end of this year. And thank you to all of you who have been in direct conversations with us and working with your constituents across the county and reducing the stigma around these very important issues across our county. Some of the work we've been doing with the ADM board is we've rebranded. So at the top of some of those data dashboards, you will see our new logo, which we work very diligently with our community to really bring in the feedback from our community to foster the hope, collaboration that we look to embody for the ADM board and bring that look to what we put out into the community. This is in line with the collaboration and support that we want to put forth. And I just want to mention some of the larger initiatives that we are embarking on that align with some of our priorities, which is our crisis services and our workforce, which is very important to our providers and those that we support. Just last month, we were able to hire a firm to be our owner's representative on some of our larger capital projects, one of which is the building of a residential step-down facility in northern Summit County, which will help relieve some of the pressures of our inpatient hospitalization patients coming out of inpatient psychiatric hospitals. So we are working to identify and confirm the location of that facility. So when people are coming out of psychiatric hospitalization, they have an interim level of care before they are released to home to make sure they have housing or released back to their family. So they are more successful in the community and not cycling in and out of our hospitals to relieve some of that pressure. We also are looking at our crisis facility in North Hill. We'll be looking to expand and enhance the services within that facility to make sure we have the most efficient and effective crisis services in Summit County. Also, in terms of our workforce services, we recently hired a full-time position, funded a full-time position with the University of Akron to make sure we have a liaison for our workforce to ensure academic success and recruitment into the social work program and ushering them into community behavioral health. We have a workforce crisis, I think, across sectors, but especially in behavioral health. We want to get people into services, but if we don't have people sitting in those chairs to serve, then we have an issue. So we not only have an issue with overdoses and suicides, but if we tell people to come in and we don't have people to serve, then we have a problem. So we're working on the front end to get people into the field to be ready to serve when people need that help. So I'm going to have Jen talk to you a little bit about our financial investments in those places. You have a graph in front of you as well, Jen will be talking about, and some of our investments in not just our fee-for-service models, but our value-based purchasing models, where we have over $6 million in alternative funding investments to help our agencies look at outcomes, not just volume of services, but look at outcomes and also the quality of the services that they provide. So we're monitoring access to services. We're also monitoring the quality of the services that they're providing and make sure that we're promoting and incentivizing that they're providing the best services with what they have as we promote their recruitment and retention activities. So I'll let Jen talk a little bit more about the fiscal deliverables that we have.
Thank you. Jennifer Pevich, County of Summit ADM Board, Associate Director of Operations. So as Amy mentioned, we do have some big funding expenditures planned in 2024. I am going to go back just to address our administrative expenditures. We're expecting to have an overall 11% increase, $331,000 additional. $207,000 of that is in salaries. We are planning to hire a new staff person, and also there are regular annual increases for current staff. We are planning also about $45,000 increase in the fringe benefits, and of course that relates to the new position, expected increases in the percentage of the benefit cost, but also we did have some changes for our new staff who had single benefit plans, and we had one person who did not take our insurance at all. So the increase for that portion isn't as much as if you just did straight mathematics on it. The other piece for our administration, we're expecting about another $78,000 throughout our agency for non-personnel costs. We're purchasing more software to be able to help us continue to streamline. Of course, we're participating with Tyler Munis, so those charges are new to us for the accounting and the HR payroll system. We also have an increase because we will have new board members coming on, and I think we have all but one at this point, so they'll need training, and they have a budget that they set themselves that assists with that. So that rounds out the changes for our administrative portion of our budget. So to go in and talk more about the things that Amy mentioned. So Amy mentioned the value-based purchasing, and you do have a chart. It's the bar graph chart, and that shows you a look at our value-based purchasing agencies that are currently participating. As Amy said, we plan to spend $6.3 million on value-based purchasing in 2024. You can see in front of you there are 7 providers. The totals that you see there in the gold bars, those don't add up to $6.3 million. We are going to add additional providers. We did not want to put providers that had not signed an agreement to participate on the chart. But we are excited that we'll be able to add 2 more and bring that funding out. And as Amy said, it's a constant stream of revenue for the providers as an alternative payment method. They're able to bill us quarterly, so that gives them a lump sum payment in each of those quarters that isn't variable based on a client coming in or coordinating benefits with insurance companies. It's flexible money. Once they earn it, they're able to apply it to any of their agency's expenses that they wish to, including recruitment and retention dollars. So with the $6.3 million, that's an increase of $803,000 over this current year's budget. So we're really excited to be able to, issue that additional funding. So the other large item that we have in the budget that's beyond purchasing services for mental health and SUD is we have our additional system investments. And a large share of those, that's kind of in that circular diagram, it shows you our large kind of breakdown of the items that we plan to spend on. So if you look at this, you can see it's $7.21 million. We do plan to begin construction and so forth around the crisis system components, as Amy had mentioned. This also includes other infrastructure investments in human capital because, as Amy mentioned, we wanted to make sure that we were able to get money out to our providers as directly as possible so that they can shore up their staffing. So in 2024, part of what you're looking at here, we're going to be dispersing $966,000 across our provider system for staff recruitment and retention activities. So we are also excited about that. That's $400 and some thousand more than we've done in the current year. And then also, as Amy mentioned, there's $177,000 that relates to our behavioral health partnership with University of Akron, having a staff person there, and also some scholarships, because we do have to do, as much as possible to open up that pipeline, because persons who do this work need to have that training. And so we're looking forward to our coordinator there bringing bright young people into the field. So those are the only specific comments that I had that I wanted to focus as to what Amy had mentioned.
Any questions?
Jennifer or Amy, you mentioned you're building a residential step-down center. How much is that going to cost?
So estimations now, based on a similar facility in Lucas County, is between $10 to $12 million. And in the process of them building that facility over the past 2 years, those costs have gone from 8 to 12 on them. So we're anxious to get this started so the price doesn't continue to rise on us.
Okay, and then on the crisis facility in North Hill, how much are you spending on that?
So our owner's rep is in the process of getting our architectural firm and engineer on board so we can get those costs estimated. Our goal is by mid next year, we'll have more firm numbers to bring to our board and to council to bring into our next budget so we can carve out those dollars in terms of our spending for our next budget year.
Okay. And we just heard a first reading for your 2024 budget of $54 million in 2024. What's the current carryover for the agency?
As of today, we have, I think it's $76 million.
So you have $76 million on hand.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a budget of $54 million.
Mm-hmm.
So the $54 million is accounted for in the 2024 budget. The $76 million is extra money, carryover, if you will. So you've got a little over a year and a half reserves on hand, correct? If I'm doing the math right.
We are projecting at the end of 2024 to have $63 million, taking into account our estimation of where we'll be at the year end. Because right now we are expecting to be down to about $69 million for December 31st of 2024.
still, $69 million is an excessive amount of money in a carryover. I'm not suggesting that that's anything other than excessive. And in a time when we have people in the crisis that they're in, and looking at $69 million, let's take the $12 million off for the residential step down. Let's take another $10 million off for the crisis facility in North Hill. That still leaves quite a considerable amount of money that could be put out into this community to the agencies that are out there. Amy, you've been very good at communicating with everybody, trying to get input from folks going back and forth. But we're looking at a crisis. I don't think anybody argues that there's a crisis. And if at some point we go back to the general public and say, we want you to support a levy for ADM, it's going to be a pretty damn hard thing to do when you're sitting on $69 million carryover. So I'm asking if you guys would please, I've brought this up so many times, I'm asking if you will please give the community some kind of an understanding of where we're going to be in 2 years with that carryover. Because there's not a person in this room who's a part of a department, an agency, or whatever that wouldn't kill to have $69 million just sitting on the side. Now, again, I am not saying anything as it relates to what you're doing, Amy. I have appreciated your openness the entire time. But I get a lot of feedback from agencies that are concerned about trying to do workforce development. $900,000 increase in workforce development is a significant amount. But when you're looking at this kind of money, it could be more. Because if we're in fact going to be competitive and have people on the front lines addressing those people who are in need, I think we could give up a little bit more here and do more and attract more people to those jobs. I am not an expert in contracting with these agencies, but I can tell you from what I hear on a regular basis, the concern is they struggle every day to keep the lights on, quite frankly, and we're talking about that kind of a carryover. We've got to do something serious about that, and that's, again, that's my personal opinion. I'm not representing anybody else on this board, but I'm going to have a real hard time going forward with that kind of a carryover when we've already approved $54 million. That's your budget, and then you've got that extra money. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If I may. Yep.
So on the zip codes, I noticed that they're mostly like Akron, Green, Cuyahoga Falls, different locations. So up where I'm at, could you give me some information if I provide you with the zip codes on the actual drug overdose and suicide up in my zip code area?
Just call our office. Any information that you need, we can provide the information. We share this data with the medical examiner's office and also Summit County Public Health, but we have access to that information. So any way that we can help, we always say reach out. Anything that we can do to help the communities, we're there.
All right, thank you. I just noticed that there's none of the zip codes are just there are only so many zip codes here, and none of them pertain to my area, so I was just wondering about that.
So the zip codes, we list the top 6 or 7, and it's only if they have 10 or more, because anything below that, you can start getting into identifying, what's happening in specific communities, and we don't want to divulge that type of information. Yeah, only 10 or more.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if I can just add, for the benefit of this group. So the agencies, one of the things that we have to consider, as I mentioned, is workforce. So one of the places that we're investing in as well is in consultation with these agencies, because they have to be able to recruit and retain the staff to be able to deliver these services to the clients in the community. One of the things that we did with value-based purchasing is to be able to give them a way to utilize the funds other than on volume, because they had money sitting on contracts that they were not able to earn. So we're finding alternative ways for them to be able to earn this money. But just giving money to agencies was not necessarily serving the community. So when we're building these programs, we also have to consider the long-term spending implications, because this is not inclusive of the operating funds of these facilities that we're building. That is going to have long-term implications for this community. So I just want you to know, Mr. Wilhite, that we hear you. We hear you and the needs of this community. And as we move forward with these projects, I can assure you that you're going to see these dollars start going out into these programs, but we have to build the infrastructure and the capacity for this to be able to work. So that's something that me and my team and the experts within the system and the consultants that we're bringing in is going to make sure that these dollars are going to be used effectively and efficiently for the residents of Summit County. So I look forward to continue working with you and seeing what we build.
I appreciate that. But in the case of trying to get boots on the ground for the people who are suffering right now, families are suffering from lost loved ones. The whole crisis is just unbelievable. And you say the agencies have to earn the dollars. Explain that.
Yeah, the reason we built value-based purchasing is because they didn't have the staff. So we had to find other ways. People couldn't get into the doors. Like right now, we're seeing wait lists grow. And so we have to find alternative ways for people to be seen and for people to be served. We know the community is hurting. Agencies want to serve people, and we want them to be able to serve. But if you don't have staff, then you can't. We can't create people. We can't create humans. We have to bring people into the field. So we're getting creative and working alongside the agencies. And money doesn't create people. So, we're being creative. We're working with the providers and seeing what that need looks like. And so we're trying to create that pipeline so we can build the infrastructure and the human capacity to be able to provide these services.
Have there been any conversations with Stark State or University of Akron or programs like that to fill in people into those areas?
Yes, like I said, we just hired a position with University of Akron. We just did a letter of support with University of Akron for another grant through the governor's office to bring in additional funding, and I'm in the process of setting up a meeting with Stark State as well, because I believe they applied for the grant as well, but we don't have a direct relationship with them at this time.
How many patients will be addressed with these two new structures?
So due to some of the federal regulations, the facility in North Summit County will be a 16-bed facility. In order for them to be able to bill Medicaid, they can't go beyond 16 beds. So for revenue feasibility, they will start with 16 bed. And this 16 beds, this will just be a model, because we know it's kind of outside of city limits. And so that's kind of a path of least resistance for that first facility. We will be looking at working with the state hospital in building that first facility. The facility in our crisis center in North Hill, we're working with Oriana House and Portage Path, and they both have capacity. They're both 16-bed facilities on each side, but they both have capacity for expanded capacity that we pay for expanded capacity in both of those facilities when necessary.
Do you expect that there will be staffing? And I say this because I know that all the hospital ERs, the hospital surgery units, and the hospital facilities are not able to fund the employees. I mean, I think this is a good idea. How long do you plan to keep them at the Northfield facility? What's the thinking?
That will be a short-term facility. So you mean the patients coming in?
North Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And you're giving them housing.
Maximum 6-month stay. So the goal is that's a transitional facility. So that is not a long-term residence. So again, that is providing that interim. They're not acute enough to be an inpatient, but they need some extra resources, clinical care to either go home, to live independently, or to find some permanent housing closer to home, closer to services. So it's not a long-term facility.
Are you telling the state that we need more hospitals? I mean, that's a big issue.
Yes, it is a conversation we're having, something we're advocating for. These facilities, these step-down facilities, is something that they're advocating for. They're actually providing funding across the state for these facilities to be built. There is not a lot of advocacy or support from the state level and more hospital beds. They are adding beds, but in central Ohio. So we have to come up with our own resources to deal with it. Yeah. So on that note, we're also working with the sheriff's office to repurpose an old nursing home in West Akron. Hopefully, we'll get that going in early 2024. We're working on that process to repurpose a facility for people coming out of the jail. Yeah, for a facility for that as well. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just quickly, first of all, thank you so much for the way you've been illuminating challenges in some of our communities and giving us the tools to help educate our community and work with the faith community. On your contracts, like it looks like between 22 and 23, we had like $22 million increase in contracts. Then it looks like we went down about $8 million. What is that? What is that reduction?
Talk about that.
I shouldn't say what is it, why is it?
Oh, you're looking at the adjusted budget number versus our request? Are you looking at the,
So even if I'm looking at the adjusted in 2023, and then your
I just want
request.
to make sure I know.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I cannot answer what the adjusted budget number.
I can hop in on this one if you don't
Okay.
mind. So for 2023, that was the first year of the new financial system. And traditionally, at the end of the year, when we have open purchase orders or open contracts, that is old budget that would still be in the prior year. For 23 and moving to Munis, any contracts that were from 22 that rolled into 23 were added to the 23 budget, so they would work. So 23 is a little bit of a misnomer, and I can tell you exactly what, I can pull up and send to you exactly what ADM's rollover number is to get you what that true delta is. But that's why it's a little misleading, is any contracts they had open from 2022, and it probably was a few $1 million, would have been added into that revised 2023 budget number.
Okay, thank you. Second question, on the additional investments, the $7.2 million, in the area where it says special population, who is that?
Special populations is any population where we hear from our community where there's a need, whether it's looking at the overdose numbers, the suicide numbers. I tell you, we saw increases in our Nepali population in North Hill. We did some increased marketing, some increased outreach, some increased mini grants in that population. So anytime we see populations, specific populations where we need to do increase in reach or outreach, that's where we pull funding, so it's not coming directly out of our marketing or our existing budgets.
Lastly, on the $5.5 million on the cultural and linguistic appropriate services, what exactly?
So that's where you'll see our crisis, our capital funding. That's where those facilities and those capital dollars will be coming out of that large green section.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We'll close out, for budget hearings at 5:49.